The biggest mistake I see folks make, especially coaches, is not having a blueprint. Without a blueprint of what you want to do, in our program, we call it the playbook. But if you don't have some type of playbook or some type of blueprint, how are you ever going to expect to succeed? Especially in our industry, it's very important that we understand certain things like who our ideal clientele is. What are the pain points that's keeping them up at night? What are they worried about long term? What are their goals, their ambitions? Understanding who they are. Most people think about, who they're going to attract and the messaging in a very broad way, which is, by the way, I used to be the first person. I come to the front of the congregation and say that used to be me, that I used to have more like a shotgun approach of I'm just going to attract everybody with everything, but I never had a real pointed plan. I didn't know who I was helping, how I was helping. I wasn't sure about lead generation. I definitely wasn't sure about how to generate revenue and make money. And it wasn't until I personally started getting coaching and training that allowed me to start figuring out some things along the way. And we're always paying it forward. A few strategies like, okay, I've been on the edge thinking about, should I get help? Should I get coaching? Should I get training? Or what does it really look like? Or is it worth the investment? All things is natural. It's all things you think of, but the folks in the businesses who actually go ahead and get the counsel, those are the businesses that have more perspective, right? There's only a certain amount of perspective you're going to have by yourself. But if you already knew the answers, you would already have the result, right? Which, by the way, that's all of us. That's why we get wise counsel. That's why we get coaches. That's why we get consultants. That's why we learn more. That's why we get these folks, because with there's opportunities, there's ways that you might not even thought of before. Damn, I can do that. Or you know what? I never thought about doing that. And the big myth is people think they need to be self-made. That's one of the reasons why I hate, that people will say they self-made because, or I hate this statement self-made because it's like, oh, I didn't have to rely on or leverage anything else, any other knowledge, any other people, any other groups, any other communities, any other programs, any other masterminds. I didn't have to leverage anything to get me to where I'm at today. And we know that's just not true. Even the world's most successful companies have board of advisors. I'm talking about multi-billion dollar industry companies. Even they have a board of advisors. Even they have consultants that come in from the outside. So that's what I really want you to take away is, what is it really like when you're getting the coaching and consulting? But I really want you to take away what could you do even over the next few months to really generate six figures, and what could you do to really change your situation in order to go to the next level?
Without a roadmap, without GPS, you're just really going blindly. You're hoping to get to your destination, and you may run into roadblocks. You may run into everything imaginable, and you're not getting there. But having a roadmap, having a roadmap that you can look at, said, okay, this is how I get there. This is
now what was your approach? And that's super dope. I'm glad you said that. Now, what was your approach to doing this business before we worked together? Because I know it was already on your mind, right? Or you were already in motion before we started doing it. But like, what was your approach to doing it? Because I'm gonna give contrast on what you started doing after we started working together. But what were you doing that you were like, I probably need to get some help on this, or this quite isn't working the way I wanted to? What did that look like?
I do a lot of motivational speaking as well. And people would call me to come back. And I'm like, I didn't really have a program to go back with, other than my speaking. So I needed something concrete. And the coaches that I work with, again, there wasn't that roadmap that I can take back and help anyone really get to a place. Yeah, I can talk a good game, but I didn't really have nothing concrete that where I was able to help someone get to the place where I knew they should be or where they wanted to be. And so just having that, that was one of the driving forces, because I was speaking different places and they would call me back. Well, can you speak to a group? Can you do a 90-minute training? I'm like, what kind of training? On what? On what you spoke about? I'm going, so I would, for lack of better words, I would BS my way through it.
So I think a lot of times when we come into this industry, right, and I usually say at the end of the day, you're an expert. What you decide to offer as a product or service is up to you. Some people, do speaking, which I do, or you doing, paid programs, or coaching is what I do, or anything long-term based. There's so many different ways you can package it, events. But I can tell you when I came into this industry, I was in the same exact time. I was like, well, I see that this is a business, this is an industry. And I said, hey, I have knowledge that I can help people with. Hey, you want me to come speak? Great. And I was speaking on stages or in front of classrooms. I started speaking on like campus radios, and I was just out here speaking, but I didn't really have a product. Like, I didn't have a service. I didn't have something that was marketable outside of I can talk to you and I can get in front of your people and I can speak. I didn't really have anything packaged. So I definitely could identify with that. So, and I think folks could too. So, all right. So now let's look at the conversation, right? What there's folks here who are on the edge of kind of thinking about it. And usually we all are, even if you want to do it, you still goes through your mind of, can you do it? Should you do it? I guess take us to the moment where you were considering whether to do it or not. And then what put you over the edge to say, you know what, let me just go ahead and get this coaching. What was that?
Wow. Well, I mean, just like I said, being a speaker, going different places and speaking, and people asking you to come back with a different plan to, and what really put me over the edge, and even when I was on the edge, like, should I hire a coach? Should I get a coach? I've been burned by coaches. Should I? And I think what really did it was my wife and I, we just built a new house, been in about a year. And I'm like, I want to pay the house off. They give you 30 years, but I'm telling myself less than 10. Then I was like less than 5. And it's not a money thing, but it's, you got to have something that you're passionate about, that you're focused toward, something that's in front of you, that's driving you to make a decision. So I'm like, I can't get there by doing what I'm doing. So I need help to guide me. I need help for me to get to that level, get to that point where I can pay the house off in 3 years. And some, you don't tell everybody your dream, but you get to that point where you're like, what's driving you? And then you have to make that decision. You just move into a new house and you're going to get a coach to do this. You got money going out. Not a whole lot of money coming back in, but you got to make up in your mind, this is what I want to do. And the key factor is being focused. You have to be focused and determined to get to that level. So, you know what? I'm going to hire this coach. I'm going to make sure that the material that I get, everything that I get, I got to put it to use. I can't put it to the side. I have to put it to use. I can't put it over here. It has to be in front of me when I wake up. It has to be in front of me when I go to bed. It has to be in front of me throughout the day. Mm-hmm. There has to be a driving force to what you want to do. There has to be something, people say, it's a cliche-ish, but you got to know your why. You have to know your why. And your why has to be so big, so out there that, in order for it to happen, you gotta make it, you gotta put work in. Your why has to be so big that you have to put the work in to do it.
He mentioned something about the movies that people play in their head, right? And there's 2 movies. When we make decisions, there's 2 movies that we play in our head. We can play a positive movie, and a positive movie is, I want to pay off the house. I want to be the best version of myself I can. I want to be a more focused person. I want to be a more disciplined person. I want to stop procrastinating, right? So that's a positive movie. When you think of a positive movie, that means you're thinking about a positive outcome. And a positive outcome, you're gonna take actions that's in line with the results that you want to achieve. But let's look at the flip side, though. Flip side of it is, a lot of us, we play negative movies. And what is negative movies? Can I do this? Can I afford this? Do people really want to pay for what I know? Imposter syndrome. Right? Is it something that can last? What if I make it and I can't keep it? What if I fail? What if it takes too much time? What if it takes too much energy? What if it takes too much money? We play all of these negative movies, which means that we're anticipating negative results. And if we're anticipating negative results, who's gonna take an action when you feel like it's too risky? Because at that point, you're like, oh, it's too risky. I can't do it. I might as well just stay in my safe, secure, what I'm doing right now. But is that really a life you want to live? Do you really want to live unhappy? Do you really just want to do the same thing day in and day out and not really live what you truly were called to do and or live on this earth? Do you at least not want to start working towards it? Do you at least want to start building it? So I think what's really important out of everything you just said is the fact that you told yourself these positive things that you wanted, and it's a good thing you did, right? Because we got some good results.
I guess one of the main things out of the playbook is sticking with it. You have to look at the playbook. It's almost like reinvent. I found myself looking at the playbook, rewriting the playbook, not rewriting the playbook, rewriting my steps, rewriting my 12-week plan, rewriting those things to fit my audience. Because if you just look at it and take it as it is, it's broad, but you got to make it fit you. You have to make it fit your audience. You have to make it fit the area that you're operating in. So take the playbook. I mean, there's so many variations, but the main thing that I took from it is the roadmap. I mean, it's my roadmap. It is my roadmap. And that's the best way I can explain it.
Mm-hmm.
Roadmap, a GPS. And you think about a GPS system that you use, how you get from point A to point B. Going back to what I said earlier, having it is my GPS. It allows me to, yes, make mistakes, make wrong turns, but it brings me back. Pricing your program is probably one of the biggest, the biggest help, because going back, you are afraid. Like, should I ask for 1,500 or should I ask for 500? So being able to price your program and knowing how to price your program and knowing that your program is valuable at the price that you set, that has been one of the biggest keys in the pulling out from the playbook, because it helps structure that. It helps you structure what you're saying, what you're doing, what you're presenting. So the structure that it gives in price point is very important. And then it's teaching it going through the playbook. I'm just so excited. Going through the playbook, it teaches you just to say no, to say yes. It teaches you those things because you start reading it, you start going through it, you start putting those things into practice. You'll realize all money isn't good money. You realize a lot of the cliches that you've heard aren't just there to be there, but they're just valuable. They are valuable. Work the plan will work. I've heard that before, but no, this is true. Work it. Work the plan.
Mm-hmm. How did you navigate that? Like, how did you know what to charge based on the value that you were providing? How did you navigate that?
I was able to look at what I've done in the past for the free 99s and then the ones who did pay. And I was able to bring it to, I was able to bring it together to say, okay, there were some some clients I was coaching for $50 an hour. Some I was coaching for 125 an hour. So you bring all of that together and you bring your knowledge with it. You go like, wait a minute. And so you walking through the playbook and you're realizing, if I'm able to charge one person 125, I'm able to charge another person $50, that's $175. So why not do a 12-week program and charge that 175 each, for an hour, and I want to have the numbers in front of me, but I broke it down to that, to where my programs is $1,500, which group coaching is going extremely well. And it's much more than 1,500. So I must say, but that's how I broke it down. Just looking at what I was charging looking at what I was charging somebody based on their economic background. And you can't do that. And I know that sounds wrong, but if you are serious about your coaching business, you have to look at everybody that, hey, whether they come to you for help. Yes, so sometimes you may have to discount your program. You not may have to. Sometimes you want to discount your program, but I encourage you, stick with your price. Stick with your price, because if you start discounting, you're gonna be known as a discounted coach. Hey, go to coach. He discount is. He's a free one. Or he just tell me you're having a hard time. No, stick with your pricing. Stick with your pricing, because I guarantee you, there's people out there that will pay for your services. I guarantee it.